Hi everyone, this is Mari Craig, and you're listening to the Small Steps to Wellness show, a podcast where we discuss how we can achieve more wellness in our lives one small step at a time. For the past 6 odd years, I've taken a special interest in nutrition and I've changed the diet of my family on its head. But as I've dived deeper into the world of nutrition, I have learned that health is so much more than just what we put on our plate. This is why on this podcast we will be talking nutrition, mental health, being in alignment, holistic health care, self-care, raising children, and more. We will also be hearing stories of women's journeys to overcome trauma and what it has taught them on the way. When we share our stories, we realize we are not alone and that things can change for the better. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey as I explore what health and wellness truly encompass. If you like what you're hearing, please consider rating the show with a 5-star rating and sharing it with your friends. It really makes a big difference. Now, on with today's show.
Hello and welcome to the Small Steps to Wellness show with me, your host, Mari Craig, where we discuss how we can achieve more wellness in our lives, one small step at a time. I'm really excited because it's not that long ago, actually. I found this Instagram account called The Danish Way, and Iben Sandahl, who's from Denmark, is sort of the brain behind it. And she's agreed to be on a podcast with me today. I'm really excited. She's an internationally recognized public speaker, a psychotherapist, and a best-selling author of a book called The Danish Way of Parenting, and The Danish Way of Raising Teens is another one. She's dedicated to offering parents an alternative to high-stress modern parenting. I think we all need that. And equipping them with the tools to raise confident, happy children. This is really cool. Her work has been featured in publications like the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, the Huffington Post, and more. And her main goal is to inspire and support parents and professionals in fostering optimal social and mental health in new generations of children. Wowee, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for coming. And I have to say that we've had, before we hit record, we were speaking in Norwegian and Danish, so hopefully we can stick to English now. And if not, dear listeners, then fear not, we will translate everything. I'm really, really interested in hearing from you because growing up in Denmark, you've got 2 children yourself. Surely raising children in Denmark, you must have thought this is how everyone does it. When did you kind of understand there is a Danish way of doing things that might be a bit different?
I think it was 10 years ago. I had the conversation with the co-author of my first book where we were discussing the differences between her culture and mine, which is the Danish way. And she was amazed about how my children behaved and how I raised my children. And then we were talking about the fact that Denmark was continuously voted the happiest country in the world for more than 40 years. And I have always thought it was strange that nobody really looked at how we are raised, because that is the foundation for everything that we do. And out came the book, The Danish Way of Parenting, co-authored with Jessica Alexander, who is an American. And it became a bestseller. And I started going out giving lectures about the book when it was promoted in a new country. And especially in the meeting with the parents or educators from abroad made me realize that how I was raised and how I had raised my children and my friends and most Danes, it was really different. Of course, you know that we don't raise our children the same way all over the world, but yet, it's just something that's so ingrained in you that you don't really think about it. So conceptualizing, looking inward, and finding those, to begin with 6 principles, and now I have So I have like 10 Danish parenting principles. That was really a lovely process for me to understand what is we're doing here and what is the difference as well. So it was in the process of becoming a aspiring writer
and best-selling author. So what are the principles then? What is it that that Danish people do that is so different? And I'm interested in this as well, coming from your neighboring country, Norway, where, and you know what's funny? You say the happiest people on earth. Whenever we've been to holiday on holiday in Denmark, it's lovely. People are so friendly. I absolutely love it. I went to Copenhagen a couple of weeks ago. Loved it. We went to the east coast of Denmark, the whole family, for a week this summer. Loved it. People are so friendly. So I can totally see, but I'd be really interested to know as well about these principles, to see if there's anything I can recognize from my own upbringing. So yeah, go ahead.
No, sure. But I'm sure you can recognize a lot. I think, well, I only focused on the Danish way, but I'm sure it's more Scandinavian. So there will be a lot of similarities, I'm sure. So those are authenticity, being able to stay true to yourself. You can just think about Hans Christian Andersen and his fairy tales. The original fairy tales, they had unhappy endings, so we're not afraid of, being honest and look at our world and ourselves like very realistic. And of course, there's also empathy. That's also one of the principles, and free play, and togetherness, also called hygge. It's actually a fun story because of my first book, hygge became such a big concept all over the world. So now you see hygge signs all over in Denmark, but it originates from me, not the word, but telling about it. And then reframing is also one of the principles. In Denmark, we have a saying, you probably might say the same in Norway, but there's no bad weather, it's only bad clothing.
I literally said that to a dad an hour ago. It's raining today.
Yeah. So it's a language choice, how we speak, and finding the more positive sides in some what you can assume as more negative. That could also be negative identity conclusions. And then no ultimatums is another one. It became illegal in Denmark to spank your children, and both physically and mentally recently, but already but in 97. And that's play, authenticity, empathy, reframing, togetherness, hygge, no ultimatums. And then there's formation. That is another, like, really, it's dannelse in Danish. There's another, like, really core principle that we have to raise our children to think critically, just, and to be independent and ask questions, be curious. And I also have pointed out another principle called uniqueness, allowing your child to be who your child is. That is like a really important one for me as well. And trust, for me, is trust the glue that keeps a family connected, and being respectful to each other, and giving them the opportunity to have freedom with responsibility, which is the last one. So if you trust each other, you can also allow freedom for your children to go out and explore the world on their own. I think that's more about 10.
I lost count. There's so much. I smiled. I don't know if you noticed when you said the whole that everyone is unique, because before we record, I was just talking a little bit about my children as well, to give you some context. And I think it's sometimes hard for parents, certainly has been for me, to sort of understand that your children aren't just like an extension of you. They are very much their own person. with their own qualities and with their own challenges and with their own, gifts, and appreciating that they might see the world completely differently to you. They might learn completely differently to you. They, they might have different values and different things that they appreciate. I found that a bit hard.
It is, because we only know ourselves from the inside, and we perceive the world from our own perspective, and thereby we come to pass on our assumptions and our values and ideas just instinctively, I think. But just recognizing and like really being curious about your child and asking questions, or just looking for details to understand your child much better, instead of just projecting your own wishes and old wounds and dreams that you never achieved yourself, etc., onto your children, is just so important that you really understand that this is a totally new, fine, little, innocent, perfect baby. And now you're going to how do you say that? Cultivate all the personal traits, as well as norms and cultural expectations, etc. But I just think that to be truly happy and feel confident being yourself, you really have to be met in being the person you are. And that's our responsibility as far as it's possible.
I mean, how good it feels when someone truly sees you.
Yeah.
Even as an adult. Yeah. So being really seen as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is important. Somebody said to me the other day, I'd written something, and she said, "Oh, this is so well written and this resonates so much." And I felt so seen, because I'd put a lot of effort and a lot of myself and a lot of my thoughts and feelings into it, and for someone to then recognize that.
Yeah. But of course, we can't do that all the time. We are only human, and sometimes we're stressed out or pushed to our limits or triggered, and we react in ways that we're not proud of. But we can at least return and take ownership of our behavior. And I mean, that's part of life as well. I mean, I don't think that we should ignore and pretend that we're always doing the right things, but just aiming to do what's best and try to find balance in ourselves as much as possible, because then we're also the best versions of ourselves, and then we become better parents as well.
Yes.
Role models. So yeah.
The role model thing, I think that's I was going to ask you something else, but actually that's a really, really good point, because so I said, I told you I've got 3 kids and a crazy dog as well. So we were just saying how your dog and my dog might bark at any point. So apologies for that. But sometimes you just think, and my husband, it's away a lot, so I'm often alone, and it's you can feel completely overwhelmed. But I think showing your children that, for example, that I said, you know what, I'm going to sit down for 5 minutes and just read my book, because that is important to me. And actually, modeling, mummy also wants time out. She wants a little bit of just time for herself and to relax, and that's okay, so that they don't think, oh gosh, when I'm a parent, I'm gonna have to run around like a mad person all the time and being frustrated at everyone. But also showing like it's okay to, amidst all the chaos, sit down and just so just go, I'm just gonna have a cup of tea, I'm just gonna sit down for a bit, put my feet up. That's fine too.
I think that's very important, because we teach them some important life lessons. I have introduced, I think it was in my last book, The Danish Way of Raising Teens, a time in chair, meaning, so when you are tired, or if you're, I don't know, if your child is misbehaving somehow, or you just need a break or something, instead of parents asking their child to go to the room I've never understood that concept. So I think that we can better teach our children to regulate and calm down and find their inner balance if we, for example, have like a special chair in the living room or in the kitchen where it's like a sacred chair where when you sit there, no one will disturb you, and it's just time to calm down and relax, but still feel included. I think that's the main thing for me. I don't like when we exclude for some kind of punishment. You go to your room and don't think about this and this, but children, they don't really think about, they don't know, they are much more abstract, and they are not abstract, they are more like concrete. I don't know what to think about. So I think that it's kind of a co-regulation technique. You stay near and you're around your child, letting your child feel safe, but still respecting that sometimes the top flips over, or you are like in a bad mood, or you just need to regain some kind of inner balance. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I love that. I love the idea of the chair. My friend said to me a couple of days ago as well that she sometimes says to her children, look, I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to have a cup of tea, and by all means come and sit and we can talk together, but I'm not going to get up and do anything for you at the moment, because I'm just going to sit down. If you need anything, you got to wait till my 5 minutes are up. But I'm going to be here. I'm going to be around, but I just need. So I guess it can go for parents as well, that you're just like, I'm here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I meant it for parents as well, for everyone in the family. But what she's doing, and which I'm a fan of as well, is she's pre-framing. And that's very, very helpful for children, because you set a frame. This is how it's going to be. This is what I need. You are welcome to this, A, B, C, D. But this is what's going to happen. So she's just pre-framing, which makes it so much easier for children to navigate in. Yeah. So
because I guess we all need to know where we stand, right?
Yeah.
If we know where we stand, it's easier. Or if we know what's about to happen. We try to in our house to do kind of like, okay, in 5 minutes we're going to, I don't know, turn the telly off. So I'll let you know when there's 2 minutes left, and then we know, so that we're not just going, okay, off, and then all hell breaks loose, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a few things that you mentioned in the principles that I really, really like. You talked about empathy. Would you mind kind of sharing a little bit more about that? And I'm obviously having 2 children at school. I'm really interested in learning more about that and how we can teach empathy to our children. I would say that I have one child who is just intuitively very empathetic, and one who needs to be shown how to practice empathy sometimes. That sounds like she's a horrible child. She's lovely, but one has it more sort of, she feels it straight away to the point of her own detriment sometimes, and the other one is a little bit more, oh they're sad. I just wonder, in the school setting where we meet so many different children with so many different abilities, strengths, challenges, surely empathy has got to be something that we should focus more on.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually was part of an Erasmus Plus project where I solely conceptualized a methodology on how teachers can teach students empathy. So for me, empathy is also like a really, really important message for me to spread out. I think that in school settings, there are different aspects. I think that for a lot of teachers, they are already not having enough time to do to be prepared and to actually be a present teacher that shows traits of personality as well. I mean, you can't really enter a classroom. I've been a teacher myself, and thereby I know, of course, you can't really enter a classroom without bringing yourself into the classroom. So first of all, I believe, we were talking about role models before, I believe that you set the example by making sure to let every student know that you see them, just saying hi to them when you see them. You show that you feel compassionate with them whenever there's something, maybe death in the family arises, or just small minor things, daily things. You got hurt in the schoolyard, and taking the time to nurture and to take care and be kind to the student. That is, for me, one of the first things that you bring on, that you dare to be personal and human.
Yeah.
And then there are several things that you can do, which isn't something that require a lot. I mean, making students work together, stronger academically students teaching less academically gifted students. So, they use each other. In Denmark, it might be the same in Norway, but in Denmark, we also have 1 hour set each week in the smaller classes. We call it class time, where the class teacher has this time dedicated to the class or the students' well-being. Any topic can be brought up, any issues between any students, you include the students to come up with solutions. And in the beginning of the year, you make like a class rule, how to be good friends, how to talk to each other, etc., etc. And then there are, I think, teamwork is so extremely important, because, I mean, when you leave school and you enter like really adulthood and you're going to have a job somewhere, you're also most often going to collaborate with someone. You're going to work together with someone. So, and I know that Denmark, and it's maybe Scandinavia, but Denmark is also known for being such good colleagues, so easy to work with, getting the best out of each person. And I think that's also something that we are teaching in school right now, that if you are working around a task to solve a problem somehow in a group, so you all put in your own, whatever, oh, he's good at triangles and this person is good at something else, all your best I don't know what's called, not qualities, but your best
skills, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. And then the result is so much better because you all put an effort into it, but also cooperating, working together. You adjust to other people, and you can sense if there's one not having a good day. And you might ask, and if there's one sitting alone, you naturally go to that person. So like really having a mindset of this is a whole, the class is a whole, and we have to like cultivate or nurture that feeling of, in this classroom, it's safe, we feel secure, we're not afraid to speak up. We respect each other, and that is primarily the class teacher's role. But also, of course, there's also some responsibility that lies on the parents, because how you talk about the school, how you talk about the teachers, how you talk about other students at home will reflect how your child, how the student is behaving in school and cooperating with their classmates.
Yeah, that's a biggie. I think we all have a way to go as parents as well, because we are only human, as you mentioned earlier as well. We are only human and we make mistakes, and at the end of the day, we want to protect our child, right? But I think you're onto something really important, the whole collaboration thing. And I was listening to a medical doctor, an American one, I think it was him that said it. It was talking about how cooperation is how nature intended it. It's like we're all relying on each other. We're all working together. There's no the whole competition thing and who scored the best and who did, got the most marks on this paper or whatever. That's not necessarily going to set you up for a good sort of adult life, because you have to work with people. You have to work with people you disagree with. You have to then find, I guess, a common ground somewhere. And I guess the sooner you are put in a situation where you have to learn that, the better. And probably being an old teacher, former teacher just like me, that working together, cooperating with someone is also, especially if you're the more able, it actually teaching somebody else is one of the best ways for you to learn yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. I was thinking what was it? No, I think especially in this day where many children are used to stepping away from when they're on their phones, and they get so easily bored. It doesn't give me the kick in my brain, so I just scroll and onto something else. Working together in a class, like really having to delve into a topic somehow and working together. There's also like something about concentration, being connected with other people. And that's one part. Another part is that I've never experienced any child having a good time in school if the social life didn't work. I mean, so that's also one like extremely important message in this, is that first of all, your child has to thrive in school, feeling safe and having friends, having someone they feel connected to. And feeling connected, I mean, that's empathy, that's togetherness, that's the straw that makes you come through like tough times in school. So the trophy or the best results doesn't really matter. I've spoken with so many children and adolescents that tells me that they're so lonely. They might be like really, really clever and getting the best results, but it doesn't really matter because they feel alienated and feel lonely, and all they are longing for is some friends they can do whatever it is with, feeling connected.
It's so big. Do you know what? This might sound completely random, and I don't know if you've seen it. It's a show on Netflix called Sex Education. And I've just finished the last season, and that's the end of the show. And the one thing that struck me was how all of these, well, they're adolescents, they're 17, I think. They're so lonely.
Yeah.
They're so extremely alone. And I get really emotional really easy watching anything like this. I feel other people's pain physically in my body, and I thought for many years that was what everyone does, but apparently it's not. And I'm sitting watching this, and I see these people looking over, seeing other people being all connected and being in their friendships, and they just go, gosh, I'm on my own. And then somebody sat on the toilet eating their lunch, and in the cubicle next to them is another person eating their lunch on their own. I mean, yes, it's a show, but it just struck me how, yes, we might be all completely different people, and we might, have different values and different skills, all the rest of it. But this is one of the things that we all need in our lives, isn't it? Connection. And I wonder if there's too much competition, we lose that a little bit.
Absolutely. And I think that origins from us, the parents, because we might feel inadequate ourselves, or felt when we were younger. And now it's the time, to show that it's not the same anymore. And we get our children, and they're not going to experience the same as us. So we really put an effort into giving them the best circumstances to thrive. But I do often think that, it comes from us not really embracing our own pain, and then we force them to do better than us, because we can't really handle, their feelings. And there's nothing worse when our children, they are not thriving. I mean, it hurts. It's the worst thing in the world. No, but it's really, really uncomfortable, and it feels overwhelming and out of our control often. So I absolutely understand why we do as we do, but I think that sometimes it would be good just to stop and think a little about, is this something of importance for me, or is it actually a need or a wish my child has to be the best? Because what is it? You are the best compared to who, and why is that important? I mean, does it really tell anything about you, who you are, how you treat other people, how you will manage life? I've seen so many children in my life that people didn't really thought they would do well, and then they got that thirst for I want to prove for myself, not for everyone else, but for myself, that I can find my passion, and that's more about that. So competition can be good because it can make you start working on something that you love, but if it's not for your sake, if it's more to make my parents happy, proud, then there is discrepancy.
Yeah. And then I guess also, if we push our children in front of us going, oh, look what my child can do, or look at how clever they are, or look at how, popular they are, or look at all these things, because it reflects back on you. It's what we think anyway, isn't it? But this is one thing I have to remind myself all the time. They are not me. They are their own person. They are not their best behavior. They're not their worst behavior. They are everything in between. They are just them. And the best thing I can do is to embrace that and be the safe space for them to explore who they are, right?
Yeah, and allow them to develop in their own pace, and giving them just the right push, the right in the proximal zone of development, just what they need to step a little bit further, but not too much, and then you will do good. I mean,
yes, I read about that. Exactly. I'll put that in the notes, that you kind of meet them a bit where they are, and go from there.
I'm very soon launching a new project. So I've been speaking, recording something today, and I'm talking about the scaffolding and the zone of proximal development, because that is the clue for us as parents to look for our children's initiatives, because it tells us something about what is their next zone of development. Where can we push, if your child is, let me walk the dog, never tried it before, or no, I want to do this, and he was like, no, don't do it. We often overhear our children's initiatives, and those initiatives, because we're too busy ourselves, and it's easier that we do it ourselves. We don't want all the trouble that comes with it, whatever. But those small initiatives, there's so much potential in them. So
gosh, I got so much to learn when you say that, because I'm a bit like, the kids want to help me cook, and I'm like, oh, but I don't even know what I'm cooking until I'm in the middle of it. And if you're going to help me, it's just going to be so messy, and it's going to take much longer. And I don't think so. And then actually, what am I teaching them? Nothing.
You're only human.
I know, but this is important stuff. Listen, I want to talk to you about something completely different before you have to go. You mentioned about Hans Christian Andersen, famous Danish author, The Ugly Duckling, The Little Mermaid. Gosh, now I've forgotten everything else. But you were talking about not being afraid of the dark stuff, and maybe that's for the whole Scandi noir, you know, the insane dark stuff that we seem to thrive on in the Scandinavian countries. Maybe that's where it comes from as well. But we want to look after our children, we want to protect them, but I wonder if we sometimes can maybe wrap them in so much cotton wool that they don't actually learn to deal with the harder emotions. My children were 1 and nearly 4 when my granddad died, so their great granddad, and I took them to the funeral. And I'm not sure how common it is from a young age to take your children to a funeral, but I just felt like, and I checked it with my mum, and I checked it with the priest there, and I said, this is what I'm thinking, what do you think? And they said, yes, absolutely, I think it's a great idea, and include them and don't shy away from it, even though it might be tricky. What's the Danish way when it comes to dealing with the hard stuff?
Well, the Danish way and my approach is that you should never shield your children from the hardships of life. Of course, you have to be aware of their age. So it's not like throwing everything on the table and just every detail, and but I mean, I think that we're doing our children a disservice if we don't show them that life also have ups and downs. And if we cannot embrace those moments in our life ourselves, sometimes daily in smaller bites, how can we expect them to handle those situations themselves when they get older? So my authentic approach to this is that it is a part of life, and we have to involve our children in all these aspects. We have also had several funerals in our family, also when my children were little, and they also participated, because that's also what most Danes do. I think it can be okay to ask, depending on the age, if our children want to go. And sometimes they might say no, but that should be from an informed standpoint, instead of just avoiding feelings, but more you respecting your child's boundaries. And perhaps your child then wants to draw a beautiful painting, or pick up some flowers, or do something else, something special. That's what my children did as well. Well, they both attended, but they drew, and they put a teddy bear and something they loved, and found their way to say goodbye. And of course we talked about it, but not in length, like not something, but more as a part of life. And whenever questions arose, then I answered in depending again about the details, about the age. I think mine were 3 and 6 years old at that time, the first time. So sometimes we just have to listen for their questions and only answer those questions, because we tend to overcome. We tend to put way too many words into our explanations, and so you understand this is also part of life, honey, and you're going to do this and blah 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 blah, and it's not necessary at all. So I think, again, coming back to being a role model, if you want to live an authentic life, if you really want to live honestly from what comes natural to you and from who you are and from your boundaries, your values, that goes around dealing with whatever comes up of difficult things, challenges in life, because if how you handle those situations will teach your children how to handle them. And if you are calm and you sometimes feel overwhelmed, or you're sad, or you are angry, or you are whatever, I mean, don't we all feel those feelings sometimes? So for me, all feelings are equal. They are, I mean, happy as unhappy. They have the same power. They have the same meaning for us in life. And so it doesn't get scary for our children when they recognize those feelings themselves, because they know it's just, they're allowed to be there. It's okay. There's no need to be afraid. They don't have to, they have already experienced that. Yeah, I can find comfort at my parents. I know this is a safe place, and this is just how it is. So I think it's about, as a family and as adults in their family, taking those talks about, where do we stand? Where are my limits? Maybe your limits are way from mine, so it's perhaps easier for you to take those talks when I can't. So you support each other as parents, instead of like ignoring and avoiding and finding all sheltering everything. So I'm saying a lot.
No, this makes perfect sense. I'm just nodding in recognition of, talks we've had in our house as well. I think that every emotion is allowed and every emotion is valid. And yes, we shouldn't maybe just sit and be sad all the time and think everything is bad. And, but it's important as well, as you say, to recognize that something is sad. It's allowed. We don't have to snap out of it straight away. It's allowed. Those feelings are natural and they're there. And obviously every family is going to do what they feel is right for them. There is no necessarily 100% right or wrong answer here, but I think you're onto something really, really, really important, in that the more we can be open about life, and as you said, age appropriate, that's a key word here, right? But I think we model to our children how we deal with things, and hopefully I wrote down something that I saw. I think you wrote, happy kids grow up to be happy parents who then repeat the cycle.
Yeah. I mean, and that is small children, small details or little details, and bigger, that is embracing life as it is. I mean, you're taking half of being a human away, not allowing it. How can you ever be true to yourself then? How can you ever come through the hustle and bustle and life crisis if you haven't been taught how to just be with it?
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Listen, you've got to go. So I'm gonna stop you. I love this way. I love this way of thinking, and I'm gonna go and get myself the Danish Way of Parenting now. Listen, thank you so much for talking to me. I really, really appreciate it. There's so much more I want to talk about, but it has to be for another time. And I'm interested to hear about your new project as well. So keep us informed about that.
I will soon. It was such a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for the wonderful and important questions.
Oh, thank you so much. I think hopefully this will inspire some of you listening to just make small adjustments maybe to how we talk to our children and how we kind of look at life, really. Thank you so much, Iben.
You're welcome. Bye.
You've been listening to the Small Steps to Wellness show with Mari Craig. I am passionate about helping mums get their energy back through simple nutritional changes, because we know that if mummy is happy, the family is happy.
If you would like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram under @smallstepstowellness, or visit my website smallstepstowellness.info. Speak to you soon.